Um, so let's start at the very beginning. When and why did you start playing piano?
Well, I was 7 years old, and it was around Christmas time. My parents, who loved music but were not musicians, gave me a little electric keyboard as a gift for Christmas. So I instantly fell in love with it, and I wanted to spend most of the day on it. So that was really by chance, I say.
And I read on Wikipedia that you became the youngest person to graduate from Bari Conservatory in Italy at age 14. So when
Yeah.
did you realize that you wanted to pursue a career in music, specifically in piano?
Well, I feel very lucky because I never really asked myself that question. As a kid, of course, growing up in Italy, my first dream was to be a soccer star, and very early on, I realized I wasn't really that gifted. When I saw my the kids in the neighborhoods just running around me very easily. And so the next thing, when I was 7, was this keyboard, and I just fell in love with it. Of course, every kid takes things seriously if they like it, and it kind of evolved naturally. So I grew and the keyboard grew into eventually a piano, and I never really looked back. So, but I think I was very lucky in that regard.
And how many hours did you dedicate to piano practice and performances? And how did you think about the balance between your academic pursuits and your musical career?
Um, I was very lucky in the sense that regular school in Italy was structured around 6 days a week. So we had short days. We went to school on Saturdays, and so we had most of the time we had all afternoons and evenings free. So there was the time for activities, and my only activity was piano. And then as it grew, that took more and more time. Um, so I feel that I never felt like there was not enough time for both. And I did okay in school and enjoyed it. And um, I tried to do my homework as first thing as I got back home, so that I would have time to practice, and at the end of the day to watch TV or relax or do fun things too. But I remember having fun at the piano. Once a week I was allowed to open up the piano and read any music I wanted to read, not just my assignments, and it was a bit like a game as well. So of course there are days I didn't feel like practicing, and there are some difficult days as well, and some challenges to overcome. A lot of frustration. I mean, music, as you know, is quite complex, and it needs connections in the brain that a child or even an adult doesn't necessarily have. We keep playing the same pieces for decades and still working on them. There's just so much to do. So it's very challenging at any age and any level as well. From beginners to professional musicians, the challenge stays there, and in fact it grows. But I never thought I had to balance it with school. And then in the junior high school and middle school, I was lucky enough to enter this school attached to the music conservatory. And so that was amazing because there were small classes, really good academically, but also all my classmates played an instrument. And this was a public school for the region. So their kids at 11, they would wake up at 5 in the morning and take a 2-hour train to be in that school. So there was a lot of commitment from the families and from the kids. But we had music. Of course, we didn't really speak about music much in school, but all we wanted to do play soccer and have fun. But all our schedule was centered around music. We had solfège in the morning before school started, and then regular school. In the afternoon, we had lessons in the same building. And so that was really, really important for me.
Now opening up to like broader, not just you, but for other students who are unsure about whether they will be successful in a career in music, what factors do you think they should consider when deciding if they should fully commit?
I think for a kid or a young adult, I mean, music or non-music or any other activity, any other profession, how can you be sure you know, and if you're not 100% committed, then you're sure that it's not, most likely it's not going to happen. And it's not just music. I mean, music, of course, needs all your commitment, but so does medicine, so does law, so does everything else if you want to excel in something. What music gives you is a certainty that if you don't give it all, then it's very little chance to succeed. And you see the results quite immediately. You know, if you don't spend enough time, you're not going to learn a piece. Whereas you might still be okay in academic subjects or just, you know, get by. But in music, when you're learning something from scratch, you just need the time. You know, some people need more time than others, but you still need to invest your 100% in it. But I think that's why it's such a great subject for whether you're going to be professional musicians or not. It's because it teaches you that you need 100% commitment in order to even advance a little bit. But at the end of the day, I strongly believe that any profession needs and deserves that much commitment.
Yeah. Uh, Speaking of commitment, like, how did you? I know you said earlier that you never really thought about like career choice in music and it just like happened. But after you committed yourself 100%, how did you think about the trade-off between pursuing music and having a financial security in a more mainstream career?
I think I don't know. I guess I'm one of the lucky ones that was able to make a living with music early on. Um, um, but really, no other profession guarantees the financial security either. You know, you have to be good at what you're doing, regardless. You know, music has many different outlets. You know, you can teach, you can be a concert musician, you can do many things with music, and they're all equally important. So I think there's always a way to find, everyone needs to find their own way to be successful in music. There's no perfect recipe. There is no plan. It's like, you know, in 10 years, I'm going to be a concert pianist. I'm going to make this much money. It's not about that. It really is not. You cannot think, in order to be successful in music, you cannot think in these terms about financial security or not. And I also believe that's the same for any other, deep down for any other profession. What music has that other professions, I don't want to say they do not, but it's a little bit less tangible, is the music itself. You know, every day we're working towards this incredible body of work that is really some of the greatest achievement in history of humankind. You know, not just, you know, when you're confronted with a Beethoven sonata or with a great opera, day after day, it's like staring into the Mona Lisa and trying to understand and recreate it and hone your skills to be able to send the message that these great masters wanted to convey to an audience. So that's humbling, it's intimidating, and it's inspiring. So our fallback, you know, we all have bad days, is that we have music to lead us through that. Now, if you think in just financial terms, then there's this kind of disconnect between arts and finance. You know, I believe that if you're 100% committed, you love the music, you understand how to work in it, you try to push yourself, push your boundaries, learn more, then the financial part will come. You know, you'll figure out a way. But it's something that it's peculiar in music that needs that commitment early on in your life, that love for it, you know, like the little kid that wanted to play soccer but then couldn't, and then fell onto music. So, but that has to be quite from the beginning, that love for music.
Can you share a particularly challenging or transformative moment in your musical journey that influenced your development as a pianist?
Yeah, I have to say that I had probably a regular start, you know, in the first few months. I was just, because I didn't have any advantages. My parents were not musicians, so I just started like any other kid, except I really loved it. And then very quickly I saw that I was progressing quicker than my friends. So things came easily for the first couple of years. Then I found a teacher that started pushing my boundaries. And all of a sudden I was incredibly frustrated. It's like, why is this so hard? Why? And I wonder, I mean, I never thought about quitting, but my parents tell me the story when I was 8 and 8.5 of my tantrums, my frustration with music. And I remember how difficult it was. So all of a sudden things were more difficult. And then I had teachers giving me pieces that I actually could not play. And even physically, you know, that was too small for them. But then, you know, the frustration was kind of compensated by discovering this amazing music, you know, the grown-up music, let's say, of Beethoven, Chopin, Liszt, Brahms, and so on, and seeing how much more there's to do. And today, I'm still overwhelmed with the amount of work, and I realize more than ever that a lifetime is not enough. So that's what's so humbling about music. You know, all we can do is just hone our skills and learn more so that we can get a little bit closer to make a good case for this great music and try to communicate that with people and create this incredible bond and use music really as a true universal language. But yeah, that was the one difficult moment, I think. And then I was very lucky early on in competition. So I entered my last competition, the Leeds competition, when I was 22 years old. And that kind of started my, jump-started my career. So I never had to go through that difficult stage, must be very difficult, of young musicians nearing, 28, 29, 30, where there's a cutoff age where you cannot enter competitions anymore, thinking, oh, this is my last chance to make a career. And but then, you know, the day after I won the competition, I quickly realized that the difficult time was just starting, because now I was not going to be compared to this or the young talented kid, you know. I was going to be compared to professional musicians. So that's, every day is a big challenge. But again, you know, we have music to guide us through all these challenges, and that's an incredible gift.
Wow, that's so inspiring. How you like pushed through your challenging times and helped it make you a better pianist. What
Yeah,
advice?
but I think music, you know, the more you know about music, sorry to cut you off, but I think it's going to answer your question. You're asking about advice. It's really to believe in music and be as curious as you can be, really with a childlike curiosity. I mean, some of the greatest artists I've ever met, from Daniel Barenboim, Simon Rattle, all these great musicians, they're really like children when it comes to music. They have this curiosity. I mean, they know every note that's in the major repertoire, and they know music inside out, yet they're so humble, and there's this childlike curiosity to discover more, to discover deeper depths in music, and see things under different lights. So I think that curiosity and enthusiasm needs to be there, no matter how difficult a day one might have, and to go to live concerts. I mean, nowadays we have access, thanks to YouTube, the internet, to so much wonderful content. But the truth of the matter is that music is ephemeral and lives in the moment it's created, and that's in a concert hall. There are no two performances there that are alike, and that's when the magic happens. And you know, we can listen to recordings over and over, even live concerts they're recording on YouTube, but it's very different. And once in a while, we need to be reminded what's so magical about music. And so make an effort and go to great live concerts.
Thank you so much. That's all the questions that I have. But it was so nice to be talking to you. I'm very thankful that
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
take time out of your busy schedule and come talk to me.
A pleasure. I'm looking forward to see what comes of this. It's really exciting.
Thank you.